Oh, so much more drama behind the scenes than on screen. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. As I mentioned a couple of days ago, the trial of the Time Lord was originally supposed to be concluded by a pair of scripts by Robert Holmes. And for that matter, episode 13 is 98% a Robert Holmes script. He was literally the only person who had any idea of what was supposed to be going on. It was his concept. Unfortunately, when the time came to write the conclusion of the season, Mr. Holmes took ill with a liver complaint, went into the hospital, and sadly never recovered. He passed away before the script for episode 13 was completely finished, let alone episode 14. And so script editor Robert Sayward was brought in to wrap up the story. And he buttoned up the Holmes script to finish off the cliffhanger, and then went on to script a spectacular conclusion that ended with a massive cliffhanger, with the Doctor and the Valeyard battling against each other across all eternity inside a time vortex. It was going to be a massive cliffhanger resolved at the beginning of the following season. The problem with that ending was that John Nathan Turner felt like that kind of cliffhanger would give the BBC the perfect excuse to cancel the show and call that the series finale. And make no mistake, the executives at the BBC were rubbing their hands and contemplating that exact thing, to get rid of this underperforming show that was way too long in the tooth. So John Nathan Turner insisted a completely different ending that wouldn't give that golden opportunity to the BBC, and Eric Sayward absolutely refused. Not only did he refuse, he quit, and he took his script with it and forbid any usage of any elements from his final script. Well, that left John Nathan Turner with a real challenge, and so he turned to Pip and Jane Baker, who had written Terror of the Vervoids, and asked them to come up with a final episode for the series. The challenge there was, because of all of the legal things involved, they weren't allowed access to any other scripts. They could have no idea of what Robert Holmes was intending, what Eric Sayward intended, none of that. They had to simply look at the cliffhanger at the end of part 13 and the entirety of the season so far and come up with their own solution. And to a large part, they did, although there's definitely a shift in tone going from episode 13 to episode 14, and I will always and ever prefer a Robert Holmes script over really anyone else's. But that does mean that John Nathan Turner got his way. This season ended on a more normal finale, with the Doctor and Mel traveling off in the TARDIS, ready to have another adventure. And at that moment, Colin Baker had every reason to assume that he would be coming back for the following season. That, however, was not to happen. And I'll get to that story tomorrow. I'll see you then.